Bonsoir tout le monde. Hi everyone. Can you all hear me well? Est-ce que tout le monde peut m'entendre? Hi Tanya. Bonsoir Manon. Bonsoir Marie-Christine. Maryse. Can everyone hear me well? Oui. Merci beaucoup Marie-Christine. I'm just going to wait 2 minutes to give some more people time to join us. Je vais juste attendre une autre 2 minutes pour donner la chance au monde de nous joindre, OK? Bonsoir tout le monde. Hi everybody. Good evening. Good evening. Bonsoir. Bonsoir tout le monde. Hi everyone. Thank you for everyone being here. Merci à tout le monde pour être là. Hope you all like my t-shirt. Don't know if you can see it. Just going to wait a minute. Give a little bit of time. Glad you love it, Tanya. Bonsoir, Lorraine. Bonsoir, Nicolas. Greetings from New Brunswick. Greetings. Good evening, La Baronne. Good day, good day. Buongiorno. Or buonanotte, Giorgio. Okay, I think I'm going to get started. Je pense que je vais commencer. There's a lot to say on this topic of angels and demons. Il y a beaucoup de choses à dire sur ce sujet des anges et démons. I just want to start by saying right off the bat, if you haven't subscribed, please do so. Otherwise, you can't go in the chat. Si vous n'êtes pas encore abonné à ma chaîne, s'il vous plaît, faites-le. Sinon, c'est impossible de dire de quoi dans le chat. Please click on the bell, the notification bell, s'il vous plaît. Cliquez sur la cloche pour les notifications. Please feel free to comment, share, like the video. Especially share the knowledge. If you enjoy the video, share it with other people so they can enjoy it as well. Okay, very important. Soyez pas gênés, s'il vous plaît, de partager la vidéo. C'est très important. Okay, spécialement si vous l'aimez. So there's a lot to talk about here. It is a topic about angels and demons, where they come from, what do they want, what's their goal, who or what they are. Okay, there's a lot of different opinions. I'm going to offer you my opinion based on my studies, based on my work as an exorcist and a haunted home specialist, and as someone who has medium abilities and clairvoyant abilities, and I'm also a shaman. So I have a little bit of knowledge on this topic. Plus, of course, I've studied the Torah, the Old Testament, and I've studied many Kabbalistic. I still study many Kabbalistic writings. There's no 100% right answer, but I will tell you that most of what you're going to find on the internet is probably incorrect. So right off the bat, what is an angel? Well, first of all, where does the term angel comes from? It comes from the English translation from the Greek angelos. And angelos means messenger. In fact, when we refer to angels, the general term, because angel encompasses all these angels or other beings of good, it's malach, or in plural, malachim in Hebrew, which again means messenger. Okay? Now, where does the word demon come from? It actually originated with the Greek daemon, which literally just meant a supernatural being or spirit that can influence or that will influence. So I want to say I have all kinds of notes here. Okay, before I forget, guys, if you haven't yet done so, it's 7 years. Okay, it's cheap as dirt. My book on you can get it on Amazon. You can stop by my office and pick up a copy. It's less than $20. It still has a 5-star international review. You can go to my website and you could order it directly from there. It'll bring you to the Amazon link. Okay, just wanted to say. So I made some notes here, and I'm going to try to go through them. The main part of this video is going to be your questions, and I look forward to answering it. Pour toutes les questions qui sont demandées en français, je vais répondre en français pour tous mes amis puis mes clients francophones ici. Okay? Demons. Well, what are some of the Hebrew terms or Kabbalistic terms to actually define what's really going on here? So we know that there's a good side, we know there's a bad side. And in fact, when we're talking about demons, we're actually, if I get Kabbalistic on you and Old Testament on you, there's a few terms, klipot, which literally means the shell, okay? They are referred to as evil, impure, unclean spirits. In Hebrew, we call it sitra'a, which literally means the other side, meaning the other side of good, okay? You need to understand something here. Just because I have this note in front of me and I don't want to forget it. They are all around us, all the time. Okay, so is above, so is below. Everything that's going on up above is going on down below, and vice versa. In God's great creation, there's a constant flow going through the 10 sephirot, the 10 spheres, the 10 worlds, so to speak. Well, there's 4 worlds, but there's 10 spheres, and it's what's coming, as well from above is going down. But for our purposes here in our physical reality, angels and demons are all around us. They're both talking to us and trying to influence us all the time. The more good you do, the more that the beings, the spiritual beings from the spiritual side, from the good side, will cling to you and hang around you and be drawn to you. The more bad you do, well, guess what? The more those from Sa'ara, the other side, the evil, impure, unclean spirits are going to be attracted to you and are going to cling to you. Okay, it's that simple. There are angels in every sphere, in each of the 10 sephirot, and in all the different levels of the worlds. Okay? This is going to shock you. We don't actually know the exact amount, because actually it says that every second angels may be created, depending on things that we do. And God doesn't have a mouth, so to speak, but metaphorically in his utterances and his thoughts, angels are created depending on what he's thinking and what he's metaphorically saying. There are probably trillions upon trillions upon trillions. We don't know. What we do know is that there is an angel for every single person on this planet. We do know that there is an angel for every single star, planet, sphere, world, okay? And within the spheres and within the different worlds, there are levels. In fact, there are 10 different races of what we would call angelic beings. And within those races, there are many different hierarchies and levels. We generally refer, if we're getting Kabbalistically, we generally refer to the 10 races, okay? And of course, there's also the other side. There are many different races of demons and forms of demons. And what I'm about to say may shock you. But most of you know, anyone who's picked up a Bible, whether it's the Old Testament or the New Testament, everyone knows that the devil was once an angel, right? Before his fall, he was known as the angel of light. Okay. In fact, I never say his name because I don't like to give him that honor of having his dirty name spoken from my mouth. But his name that starts with an A, it's in the Torah, it's in the Old Testament, but it's pronounced Sha, not Sa. And it literally means, his name in Hebrew literally means the accuser. So whether you want to hear this or not, the devil actually works for God. His job was to accuse humanity in the heavenly courts. Now, when he fell from above, okay, when he was thrown out of heaven and his followers went with him, of course, once he came down here and he himself got even more corrupted by the physical, well, this is a whole other story, and that's what we have today with him and his children, so to speak, and his followers and their children that they had with humans, right? We know the Watchers and even the second falling, because there were 2 fallings of angels. What did they do? Well, they slept with women. And the females, demons and angels, slept with men. And there were kids that were born. But that's a whole other story. Okay? But it's important that you know that the devil, and actually was there to do God's bidding. And of course, down the line, he just got worse and worse and got more corrupted. Okay? Some of the terms here that I'm just going to throw at you that they were referred to, these different beings, guardians, princes, principalities, representatives, celestial representatives. There's so many different ways that they're referred to in the Old Testament and especially in Kabbalah. Okay, the devil is from a race of angel, believe it or not, because in some of the races of these spiritual beings, there's both good and bad. And there's a reason we call him snake-like and why he appeared to Adam and Eve as a snake. Because that race of angel is actually from the race Seraphim, which is considered in many, many, many theologies and viewpoints as the highest, or at the very least, one of the highest levels of races of angels. So believe it or not, the devil comes from a high race of angel. Okay, can you imagine? But then again, like I said, his job was to stand in the court of God up above in the upper worlds and accuse us. So he had a very high ranking. Okay, and yes, they are known as somewhat of a serpent race. Now, in the upper worlds and in the spiritual realms compared to down below, they appear in many, many different ways. There are angelic and demonic beings that are among us, and you would have absolutely no clue. In fact, they would walk right next to you and you'd have no clue that they were actually beside you. Okay, and they are here in physical form as well as spiritual form. They have been since the beginning of time. Okay, and some of them are looking monstrous, but are very, very good. That are angels, good angels. And some of them are looking so beautiful like the devil did. Okay, filled with light. And all kinds of wondrous things, but they are very, 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 very evil, very bad. So that begs the question, well, where do they come from? Well, they come from both spiritual and physical realms and dimensions. Okay, the ones that we're generally dealing with here are coming from the spiritual realms. But like I said, there are angels and demons on other planets and other universes. Okay, but the ones we're dealing with are more or less very, very spiritual. I know there's probably a lot of questions. I'm not even looking at the chat. The wonderful lady, a good friend of mine, Melissa, who helps me, is going to be helping me out with the questions to put them thereafter. Okay, so they are actually from other planets, but they're also from other worlds and other dimensions. Okay, what do they want? Do they interfere? They absolutely interfere. So what is their goal? Well, first of all, you have some angels that they have only one mission and they constantly stick to that mission. Can't do anything else. You have some angels that are actually created for a specific thing one time and then they disappear. They cease to exist after. Okay, and you have others that can do many, 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 many things. So depending on where they are, like in the higher worlds, in the higher sephirot, the higher spheres, the higher we go, you have angels, billions of them, by the metaphoric throne of God, just singing praises to him. That's all that they do. They don't budge from there. And you have others that are guardians, that are guarding certain things like Metatron. I spoke about it in my last live, about this nonsense of people thinking they're doing Akashic readings, the Akashic book. Well, it exists, but only God has access to it. But for example, Metatron, who has many responsibilities. He was once Enoch, for those of you who are not aware. Okay, he guards the Akashic record, which is basically the thoughts of God Almighty, everything that's ever been recorded since the beginning of time. So there are some angels that is their specific mission. Just as there are demons that have specific missions and they can't do anything else. And there are others that, are kind of a free-for-all, okay? Some are shapeshifters, just as angels can be shapeshifters. Well, there are demons that could be shapeshifters. Some of them travel in packs. Some of them are loners, the lone wolf, so to speak. So there's so much here going on with angels and demons. It's impossible to even know all of it. And something that may shock a lot of people, for those of you who have any type of religious background, regardless of whether it's Judaism, Islam, Christianity, or any other, angels play a very big part in many, many cultures and religions. And we've all heard about the archangels, Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, Uriel. I mean, there's many archangels. But believe it or not, so you have the archangels, and then you have the angels that serve under them, okay? The angels that serve under them, believe it or not, are considered the lowest level of angelic being. They're in the lowest level of realm. Now, some of the archangels, and they're only in level 2. Like I said, there's 10. They're considered only number 2. So Archangel Gabriel, Michael, Raphael, Uriel, they're considered lower rank of angelic beings. Okay. Now, sometimes they do, of course, sometimes they will rise up the ranks, so to speak, with different missions. But most people, right off the bat, you hear about, well, Michael, and listen, he's my guardian angel. I work with him often. Okay. I work with Uriel, Gabriel, Raphael, and many others. But the fact of the matter is they're considered one of the lower ranks of angelic beings. It's insane, but that's what it is. So that's just to kind of give you a little bit of an idea that there's so much going on here. And what we think, what we've been taught, generally speaking, is more often than not incorrect. So I just wanted to give a very brief explanation as to what's going on. I mean, some of these beings, whether they're seraphim, some of them cherubim, which is considered normally the second level under seraphim. Some angels like them have wings. They actually do, physically. But many others do not. They don't actually need wings, okay? But there are some beings and some races that actually do travel in chariots and who do travel in machines, okay? But not all of them. Some of them are poof here and then poof there. So it's actually very, very interesting. So this was just a brief overview. I'm going to take some questions, and I will do my very best to answer. Some things I won't be able to answer. I can only speak based on my experiences and my studies. Okay, so I'm going to go to the first question here that seems to be from Tanya. Are dark shadows considered demons? Very good question, Tanya. Not always. Very often, for example, in a home that has entities, if someone sees shadows, especially that are moving, it can be absolutely demons, and very often it is. Sometimes they are very, 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 very bad spirits because, like I said, there are unclean spirits, bad spirits, but generally demon kind of encompasses all of that. So yes, if you're seeing dark shadows, it's generally not a good thing. You're not going to see an angelic being. You're not going to see an angel, so to speak, appearing as a shadow. That won't happen. Okay. Here's a question from Kellyanne. I'm here because I have sight as well, and I'm building a panel to build a show to bring truth to people. So essentially, I'm investigating. Well, that's very nice. Good luck with that. I'm glad that you're here, Kellyanne. Whether or not you have sight or not, I don't know. I don't know you personally. There's a lot of people who say that they have sight, whether or not they do. And that's another thing. Thank you for actually mentioning that. It's something that I'm going to bring up, and I think it's very important that we're going to talk about. But I'm not sure this is the right place for you to build a show, so to speak. But feel free to listen. Again, I appreciate having you here. Now, she said something that's very interesting that I do want to touch upon. Okay. And what's interesting here is when people say that they have sight or hearing, that they can hear and see things from the spirit realm. As I said, both sides, both the good and the evil side, are constantly talking to us. And what's interesting is, in my experience and in much of my learning when it comes to the Torah, the Old Testament, and the Kabbalah, nothing is 100% pure. we don't have a temple anymore. There were 2 temples. Okay. So times were clearer and holier when the temple stood. The same prophecy that existed back then does not exist now. And there are many, many things that people are supposed to have to receive any type of vision or hearing or prophecy, so to speak. And one of them is intense study in the Torah, in the Old Testament. Okay? Without that, it's what you're going to hear from the good is filtered, and you're going to hear a lot more from the bad. Someone who hasn't studied Kabbalah, same thing. And you can't study Kabbalah until you study the Old Testament. Someone who is not a big believer in God, who doesn't have a huge faith in God, is not going to be receiving proper prophecy or proper hearing or getting proper seeing. It's just, that's what it is. And it's the same thing when we sleep. The holier that we are, the more God-fearing we are, the more that we believe in God and try to do God's work, the more we help others, the more good that we do in general, the more we study the teaching of God, so to speak, the more we're going to be getting prophecy or hearing or seeing from angelic beings on the good side. Those who don't really follow God or have faith in God or believe in God or do God's work are going to be getting hearing and seeing, so to speak, from the other side. Okay? Have you read the Nag Hammadi? Yes, I have. But again, if you're asking a question, please, Kellyanne, stick to the topic if you don't mind. I'd appreciate it, which is angels and demons. I've read a lot of things. I read the Book of Enoch. I read the Nag Hammadi. I've read the Gospel of Judas. I read the Gospel of Mary. I've read even a lot of the Gnostic books as well. But let's stick to the topic of angels and demons, please. Thank you. If somebody sees an evil being or an angel and takes a picture of it, would it show on the picture? Often it will. Very often I post pictures and videos of fires that I do here. And a lot of times it's something that I can see and others cannot. Okay? There are sometimes people there who can also feel or, see a little bit, but most of the time people won't be able to see what's going on there, which is why we take pictures and videos, because very often the flash of the camera or of the phone is at a higher vibration, so to speak, to be able to catch things that the human eye cannot. So when I'm seeing things, I'm actually seeing things at a much higher vibration. When I'm experiencing things, same thing, it's at a higher vibration, so to speak. So yes, in answer to your question, a lot of things will appear on camera or video that you will not be able to hear or see normally. That's a very good question. Nicole has a question. Okay, let me bring this closer, because until my reading glasses come in, they should be in a week or two. Est-ce que les saints peuvent nous aider sur terre? Est-ce qu'on doit les prier? Non. On parle des anges et démons, Nicole. Pas des saints. Le sujet, ce sont des anges et démons. Mais je vais répondre à ça parce que je veux être sûr que tu comprends très bien la manière qu'on devrait faire ça. Les saints n'ont pas beaucoup de pouvoir. OK? Ce sont les anges ou les démons, ceux qui viennent du monde spirituel, qui ont beaucoup plus de pouvoir. Et en plus, prier à un saint, je ne sais pas si tu as écouté mon live que j'ai fait la semaine passée. C'était exactement sur le nouvel âge, puis idolâtrie et toutes ces affaires-là. Tu pries à un saint, tu te prépares pour un cheminement à l'enfer. C'est idolâtrie. Le premier commandement, il n'y a aucun Dieu à part que moi. Et le deuxième commandement, commis pas idolâtrie. Tu pries pas aux saints. Et notre sujet est anges et démons. Tu pries pas aux anges non plus. Tu pries à absolument rien sauf Dieu lui-même. Alors, on va rester sur le sujet, Nicole, des anges et démons. On ne parle pas des saints. Mais s'il vous plaît, priez pas aux saints et priez pas aux anges non plus. Okay? Bienvenue, you're very welcome. Question, how many dimensions are existing and which one are we? That's impossible to answer, Marie-Christine. No one can answer that. Anyone who claims they can answer that is full of you-know-what. There are, and I know we hear there's the third dimension, the fourth dimension, the fifth dimension. There are so many different levels in the worlds, so many different levels in the spheres. In heaven, there are so many different levels. It's impossible to know how many universes, and yes, there's more than one universes, there's multiverses. There are so many. There's so many stars, so many planets, so many dimensions, so many realities. God is infinite. Therefore, God can keep creating as God sees fit. So I know people will talk, we're in the fourth dimension, we're heading into the third, we're heading into the fourth, and maybe the fifth. Nobody knows because we don't know. And all we know is that there's a certain amount of spheres. There's 10 spheres, what we call in Hebrew sephirot. There's 4 worlds, and there, different levels of the worlds. But within that, there's so many different levels. And even, like I said, within heaven, there's level after level. It's never ending. So we actually don't know how many dimensions that there are. We can take some guesses, but I won't guess. Can angels come in bright lights like orb? Yes, they can. Yes, they can. And very often, especially to the human eye, and I know on camera and video we see a lot of orbs, but very often to the human eye, the only way sometimes people are able to catch glimpses of angels or spirits are via orbs, and sometimes they're colorful orbs. Yes, so angels can appear as orbs. Angels can appear as all kinds of stuff. But yes, absolutely, that's an excellent question. Thank you very much. Now I see there's a whole bunch of other questions there. I'm just going to see if my dear friend, thank you. I'd like to believe that our loved ones who have passed on are guardian angels watching over us. Am I wrong to believe this? Can they be? Well, so there's a few things here. Number one, you're absolutely 100% wrong, Joanna. Sorry to tell you. It's not because, and I mean this with love, of course, it's not because you want to believe it that makes it so. I want to believe I'm a millionaire doesn't make it so. And I can tell you it's far from the case. And you're not the only one who has that belief, by the way. Many people have this belief that our loved ones who pass become our guardian angels or our guardian angels. But number one, just right off the bat, factual wise, it just doesn't make sense, common sense wise. Because, if you have a parent or a grandparent that, that passed and you were already alive when it happened, you have to have a guardian angel beforehand. Okay, we all have an angel kind of assigned to us. Now, it doesn't mean even though that angel, they're not just standing right next to us all the time waiting for something to happen. Okay, but there is an angel that is assigned to us. So it can't be a family member. Furthermore, God sends our soul down here for experience, and then we go back home. We've done our time, like with prison time, so to speak. Okay, I don't want to compare being on earth to prison, but compared to heaven, compared to being around God's manifestation of light, yeah, it's kind of like a prison down here. So they've done their time. And spirits themselves have very little power compared to angels, to angelic beings that were created specifically to have certain powers. So yes, a lot of people do want to believe and actually think, and they get shocked when I tell them otherwise, that our family members are not our guardian angels. They're just not. It's the same way when we go to a cemetery and there's a tombstone. Why are there tombstones in the cemetery? It's not for those who have passed on, who have gone back home, who have gone back to God. They don't need a rock. They don't need a tombstone. It's for us so we feel better. So yes, like you said it right. You want to believe because it would make you feel better. Unfortunately, it's not a Disney production. It is what it is. They're limited power, and it's the job of the angels that God created to look after us. And a lot of people who call me, oh, well, I think there's things in my home. Maybe it's my mom. There's something there every day. My mom was such a wonderful human being. Maybe she's hanging around. No. Your mother's not hanging around in your basement. If you can be having, talking about, someone asked about saints, we could be having, lunch, breakfast, and dinner with Jesus, the saints, angels, holy rabbis. You could be lying on the beach all day and never getting tired and never getting a sunburn, sipping your pina colada in heaven. You want to be hanging out down here in someone's basement? No. I know I sure as heck don't. If I could be riding on my motorcycle that never runs out of gas, with a never-ending cigar in my mouth and a never-ending cup of scotch in my hand while I'm riding on the motorcycle on the beach, I don't want to be hanging out in someone's basement. Est-ce que les anges qui ont une mission exclusive de louer Dieu, I don't even understand what that means, de louer Dieu, oui. You know what that means? Sont de rang supérieur que ceux qui ont une mission d'action, comme l'archange Michel, tu veux dire Michael, qui est le chef de la milice céleste. Si je comprends bien la question, on parle de rang. Non, pas nécessairement. C'est pas nécessairement le cas qu'il y a des anges qui sont à un rang supérieur, qui sont autour de Dieu nécessairement, parce que Michael aussi peut être autour de Dieu. Mais en même temps, c'est une réponse compliquée, parce que oui, il y a certains anges qui sont créés des trésoriants, puis leur job est d'être à côté de Dieu. OK? Mais comme je t'ai dit, le diable lui-même vient d'une race des anges qui est considérée le plus haut rang des anges. Et voilà, on sait ce qui est le diable maintenant. Alors, c'est pour ça la réponse est oui et non. Mais bonne question, merci beaucoup. I see there's some more questions there. I'm just waiting. Comment peut-on retrouver la foi? How can we rediscover? Ben, Silan, je vais te répondre parce que je veux t'aider, mais encore, mon sujet ce soir, le live, c'est sur les anges et démons. OK? Alors, je vais répéter pour tout le monde, s'il vous plaît, essayez de garder vos questions sur les anges et les démons. OK? C'est ça le sujet de mon live. Okay, guys, please try to keep your questions related to today's topic. It would be very, very nice because today's topic is angels and demons. Okay, but Céline, tu as demandé une question pour retrouver la foi. On peut te guider, Céline, mais ça doit venir de l'intérieur. Okay? La meilleure manière, c'est de prier à Dieu. Prie à Dieu lui-même. Le plus que tu lui pries avec sincérité, OK, avec émotion, même avec des larmes dans tes yeux, ça va t'aider à retrouver la foi. OK? La meilleure chose, c'est de parler à Dieu. Beaucoup de personnes prient les anges. Est-ce que c'est mauvais? Hey, it's my buddy, Mintan! Personnellement, je préfère adresser directement mes prières à Dieu, notre Père à tout. Ben, merci pour la question, Min. Et à cause qu'on parle des anges, c'est une parfaite question. Je vais dire ça encore avec amour. Personnellement, c'est pas important ce que quelqu'un veut personnellement. Ce qui est important, ce que Dieu nous dit. Mais tu fais bien. Tu adresses toujours tes prières à Dieu. Et je ne sais pas, mon ami Min, si tu as eu la chance d'écouter mon live de la semaine passée. C'était sur le Nouvel Âge, puis il y a bien du monde qui prie à l'univers, prie aux anges, prie aux saints. C'est idolâtrie. C'est idolâtrie et c'est considéré pire que commettre le meurtre. Premier 2 commandements, il n'y a aucun Dieu à part que moi. Deuxième commandement, commis pas idolâtrie. Je suis pas Einstein, mais pour moi, c'est clair. Alors, tu fais très bien, mon ami, de prier directement à Dieu lui-même. On prie jamais, je vais répéter pour ceux qui n'étaient pas ici avec nous avant, on prie jamais aux anges. Puis j'espère que ce n'est pas nécessaire de dire qu'on ne prie pas aux démons. OK? J'espère que ce n'est pas nécessaire que je dise ça. You in the Bible often say things like fear of God. I'd rather love God and fear the demons. No? Oh, good question, Simon. And I'm going to answer that because you're talking about demons. You mentioned demons in that question. And this topic is about angels as well as demons. Yes, but you have to understand there's an esoteric meaning and a deeper meaning, a metaphorical story. There's so much going on with what it means to fear God. To have a fear of God, what does it mean? It means you never want to disappoint God. It means you never want to sin. You never want to go against God, our Father, God Almighty, the master of all of creation. And you talk about love. Where does a true fear of God comes from? It comes from the heart. It comes from love. When you have such a deep love for God, and this is a big concept in Kabbalistic writings, when your love for God is deep and pure, you will automatically have a fear of God. Out of a fear because you realize, or as much as our small human intellect can comprehend, because no one can truly comprehend God. As much as we can comprehend how great, how majestic, how incredible He is, you develop a fear of never wanting to be left out. You have a fear of never wanting Him to turn His metaphoric face, because He doesn't have a real face, but turning His face from you. You have a fear of missing out in the world to come. And that comes from love. You love God so much that you never want to do anything to disappoint Him and have Him distance Himself from you, to pull back His manifestation from you. So actually, fear, Simon, of God is actually love of God. But that's an excellent question. Thank you. No need to be sorry, Celine. I'm just trying to keep the topic on the topics. There's no need to be sorry. C'est correct, Celine. C'est pas nécessaire de s'excuser. You are forgiven. It's all good. Okay? Demander l'aide de mon ange gardien est la même chose que le prier. Oui, Daniel. Je vais répéter. Pas parce que je suis méchant. Mais je veux que quand tu parles de ce live-là, tu comprends très bien. Très bien. Premier commandement des 10. Avant, commis pas la meurtre. Avant, honorez vos parents. Premier commandement. Il n'y a aucun Dieu à part que moi. Qu'est-ce que ça veut dire? Tu viens à moi et juste moi. Deuxième commandement, commis pas idolâtrie. Je vais le répéter. Tu pries ou tu parles pas aux idoles. Si tu demandes à ton ange gardien, et en premier, tu n'as aucune idée c'est qui ton ange gardien, puis tu ne peux pas me dire que tu as une idée, il n'y a personne qui a une idée. Il y a bien du monde qui pense, spécialement le monde qui joue dans le monde spirituel, ils pensent tous qu'ils connaissent leur ange gardien. La plupart n'ont aucune idée. Si l'ange gardien tombera du ciel sur leur front, il n'aura aucune idée c'est qui. Okay? Si tu demandes à n'importe quel ange quelque chose, il y a deux problèmes, Daniel. Un, l'ange va tourner au Père, celui qui l'a créé, et va dire, est-ce que c'est correct, boss? Puis le boss va dire, ben non, c'est pas correct. Pourquoi il t'a demandé à toi et pas moi? Et la deuxième chose que tu es en train de faire, c'est idolâtrie. C'est idolâtrie. Et comme j'ai dit avant, pour Dieu, c'est une des rares fois qu'il tourne la tête de quelqu'un. C'est idolâtrie. Ça veut dire qu'il n'y a aucune place. Il n'y a même pas une chance pour une place dans le monde qui s'en vient. Quelqu'un qui est mort, leur âme passe du corps. Puis c'était quelqu'un qui faisait idolâtrie. ça va pas bien, là. Ça va pas bien aller. OK? Ça, c'est sûr. Alors, tu demandes rien. Pourquoi tu demanderais, si tu connais le propriétaire d'une compagnie ou le secrétaire, tous les deux, c'était des bons amis, puis tu avais besoin de quelque chose, tu demanderais à qui? La secrétaire ou tu demanderais au boss? Le boss serait pas fâché, mais offendu, là. Dieu n'est pas comme nous. Ses émotions ne fonctionnent pas de même comme nous. On s'entend, il n'a pas des émotions comme telles comme nous. Mais il serait offendu si on demande à une de ses créations quelque chose au lieu de lui demander. J'espère qu'on a compris. Brother, why is it that your fires have so many spiritual guests, and does it ever happen that a demon came to your fire? Well, brother, Sir Pierre de Riche, you know very well why, and I'm glad that you asked the question so that others can hear it. Yes, our fires have many special guests because some of us that do the work for God Almighty, and anyone who's chosen. I'm actually going to say anyone who does any type of spiritual work, even the ones who took a course on St. Catherine Street, you're opening doors, you're attracting the spirit realm. So we people like you and I, for those who don't know Pierre, he's the gentleman, we did a live together. He's a gentleman that helps me from time to time in crazy exorcisms when I know it's going to be hectic or more than one. In fact, he's going to be coming tomorrow night to help me with one. Thank you. So there's always spiritual guests because, first of all, fire is alive. Fire has its own power. Okay. And we're together with our family. So there's a lot of spirituality happening here. So there's a lot of spiritual guests that will come for those that are heavily involved in spirituality, in the spirit realm. They will stop by. And as I said, they're always around us, but there will be more and more that's attractive. Have there been demons that have come by? Yes. They generally don't last very long. Either we get rid of them very fast. On more than one occasion, the boss himself manifested enough that those things went pretty quick. And generally our spiritual helpers, whether they were angels, whether they were spirit animals, whether they were Holy Spirits, came by to take care of business. It is rare that something evil will stop by. But sometimes they have a little bravado and they think that their cojones are a little bit bigger than they really are. And they'll come by to show their face, but they generally don't hang out long and they generally don't last there very long. Thank you for the question. In the Quran, the devil is called a jinn. Wrong. Number one, and I've studied the Quran with Muslim clerics and high-level imams in Egypt. The devil is all demons are called jinn. Not the devil, but demons per se are called jinns. That's number one, okay? Who can shapeshift and was created by smokeless fire. The Bible says the devil can change his shape and appear as an angel. Well, I did say before, I don't know if you heard where I said, and I'm just going to call you Enigma because I don't know who you are because it's a nice name, but I can't refer to you as your first name. So I'll just call you Enigma. As I said at the beginning of this live, many angels and demons are shapeshifters. And of course, the devil can shapeshift. He took the form of the serpent that convinced Eve to eat of the fruit. And then she convinced Adam to do so, the fruit of the tree of knowledge. Okay? So absolutely, the devil can shapeshift. Okay? And so can demons, regular demons, and so can many angels. Okay? And can a demon appear as an angel? They can never appear fully as an angel. Something that is evil can never 100% reproduce something in God's light, something of the dark, something of the other side, sitra ara, okay? Something of the klipot, something of the yetzirah, can never fully replicate holiness, goodness, but they can come close, which is why I always tell people, if you see things in your dreams, don't talk to them. Don't talk to them. I don't care if you think it's grandma that passed on. I don't care if you think it's an angel. There's a very good chance that it's not, and you won't know the difference. Even if they can't replicate it 100%, they could do so up to about 99%. Okay, and as I said before, the devil was an angel of light. Okay, so can demons appear as angels? They can appear pretty close. And like I said, there's so many different races of angels and demons. And some angels are not what you think. And I'm talking about holy angels in God's light. On the good side here, some of them look monstrous, according to Kabbalistic teachings and to some of the prophetic teachings from the prophets themselves who had visions, such as Enoch and Ezekiel and Isaiah. Okay, so you would see, and like I said, the devil himself was considered absolutely beautiful. So we have to be very, very, very careful. Do you believe in what Italians call malocchio? I've been taught how to remove evil eye headaches from my grandmother. Well, thank you, Giorgio. This is the wrong. From what I understand, it works by summoning black angels. I'm going to answer your question only because the last word you used was angels. Okay, but this topic is angels and demons, not malocchio. Malocchio, most Italians, and I know malocchio, most of my clients are Italian, and they have been for a very long time. I grew up with Italians. I know malocchio. Malocchio is just an evil way to call evil eye. So first of all, your grandmother should never have played with that, as no one should have played with that. It's New Age stuff, okay? Although they were doing it before the New Age revolution, so to speak, I get it. But people are not supposed to be playing with this. You can't get rid of a curse with tea leaves. And if you're doing it, Giorgio, please stop, because you're putting you and your family in danger. Don't play around with that shit. Okay, please. Okay? And I know, I'm sorry to say, but it's black magic. It is. Okay? Malocchio is a curse. And there's always a demon involved. You can't get rid of a demon with tea leaves, olive oil, tea, coffee. Okay? Please be very, 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 very careful. Okay? And I know that in the old country, whether it's Greece, whether it's Italy, whether it's Portugal, whether it's Spain, in the mountains, the villages, there's always there's always an older lady who's getting rid of Noga, and they claim to teach you. It's no better than taking a course on St. Catherine Street to learn how to do Reiki. You're playing around with things that you should absolutely never be playing around with. And the same way I tell people, if they think they can get rid of demons by burning sage or beating a drum or a sound bowl or by throwing some salt or water in the corner, it's insane. The same way you absolutely cannot get rid of demons with tea leaves or olive oil or soup or crackers. You just can't. And as for the term black angels, again, if you're referring to evil angels, we in the Torah and Kabbalah doesn't refer to them as black angels. Okay, refers to them as evil. So by the term black angel, if you're meaning evil, obviously any type of malocchio has to do with a demon. And like I said, demons are often referred to as well in the Torah and in Kabbalah as unclean spirits, evil spirits, demonic presences. So in that case, yes, I hope that answers your question, paysan. Est-ce qu'il est possible que deux ou plusieurs personnes aient la même ange gardien? Oui. Oui et non. Oui et non. Oui, mais non. Non dans le sens que chacun a un démon spécifique. Ange spécifique, ange gardien spécifique. Il y a certaines personnes qui ont deux, c'est compliqué. C'est rare, mais il y a certaines qui ont deux, même trois. Mais c'est très rare. OK? Mais est-ce que un ange gardien peut aussi aider quelqu'un d'autre? Oui. Et dans ce sens-là, OK, il peut y avoir plus qu'une personne qui fait affaire avec le même ange gardien que quelqu'un d'autre. Oui. C'est compliqué, mais en effet, c'est plus non que oui. OK, on a vraiment un, mais souvent dans des familles ou spécialement du monde qui sont du monde saint, croyants en Dieu, ceux qui ont étudié le Torah, l'Ancien Testament, souvent les mêmes démons, excusez, je dis démons parce qu'on parlait de démons, les mêmes anges se manifestent autour d'eux. Alors, dans ce sens, oui, très bonne question. Marie-Christine, how about spirit guides? Are they evil or good? Well, this is the problem, Marie-Christine. And again, they're neither angel or demon, so to speak. And again, actually, no, that's wrong. That's actually a fair question, because what people call spirit guides are actually usually angels or demons talking to us. Okay? And most people would have absolutely no idea, which is why I warn about the New Age movement. I warn about people who think they're mediums or psychics. I warn about this. I warn about people who say that they see or they hear, because they have absolutely no freaking clue who they're hearing or who they're seeing. So, and as I said from the beginning, both good and evil are around us at all times, right? And I hear very, very often people tell me, "Oh yeah, I do what you do, Jared. I speak. I say who? I speak to my spirit guides." And I always ask them, "Who are they?" "Well, I don't know, man, but I speak to them." Well, it's a problem. It's a problem, because if someone wasn't really chosen to hear prophecy, so to speak, it's generally not going to be something good that's giving them messages. It's just not, because we learn, and I wanted to talk about this before, so thank you for the question, Marie-Christine. And I think I might have touched upon it a little bit, but depending on our level of understanding of God, our level of study in Torah and Old Testament, our level of study in Kabbalah, our level of doing good deeds in this world, helping others, our level of faith in God, trust in God, and love for God determines how much prophecy we're going to receive, how much info we're going to get, especially while we sleep or when we're connecting to up above. Okay? Those that are not at these high levels, it's a problem. It's a problem. The higher level you are, the more holy things that you're going to hear. So when most people talk to me about spirit guides, and it is generally angels and demons that are talking to us, as I said, they're constantly whispering in our ears. Okay? It's a problem. Most people have absolutely no idea who their spirit guides are. And more often than not, it's nothing good. Okay? And something I wanted to touch upon before, and I'm going to get to Simon's question in a minute. What do they want? Well, the good side wants to make sure that we have a place in the world to come. In the courts up above in heaven, they defend us. They try to look at the good that we do, and they present the good deeds we did, not the bad. They want, and they not only do they want us to have a place in the world to come up above in heaven, but they want us to have a good place. They want us to be closer and closer to God's manifestation up above, because there's different levels, as I said, of heaven, of godliness, of his manifestation, of what we're going to experience. And if we're not doing what's right, they want to try to guide us to do what is right, to get back in God's good graces, to do what we call in Hebrew tshuva, repentance, to go back to God. That's what the angels, that's what the good side wants to do. Now, what are the bad side? What are the demons or bad angels want? They want the opposite. They want to keep us away from God. They want to make sure that we're going to what we call a Gehinnom in Hebrew, hell, and not heaven. So they're going to try to influence us to do bad, to sin, to commit, as we say in Hebrew, averos. They want us to sin, comme on dit en français, des péchés. So the good wants to bring us closer to God. The devil already knows he's losing the battle. It's written. He's aware of his fate. He already knows what awaits him when the Messiah comes. He wants to bring as many with him down. The more souls that he can keep away from going back to God in the world to come, that's their goal. In the New Testament, Jesus is born from a virgin young lady after a visit from the angel Raphael. Is Jesus half angel? Jesus is not an angel. Jesus is not an angel at all. And when I say that, because a lot of people say, oh, they were such an angel, to say someone was a good person. So when I'm saying he wasn't an angel, that's not what I'm referring to. God is pretty clear for those of you who follow the New Testament, for those of you that are Christian or who believe in Jesus. It's pretty clear that God did a miracle. Okay, it was God, not God didn't impregnate Mary. Okay, I have to be careful how I say this. But metaphorically speaking, the same way in Kabbalah, it refers to many of God's creations, the creations of the different universes, actually, almost as if the feminine aspect of God was giving birth to creation. So in that regard, God took part in Jesus being born. Okay? And yes, I know that at the beginning I mentioned that especially the fallen angels, you see, angels, the good side, they know that they're not allowed to have intercourse with humans. They won't do it. It's the bad side that does. So I can assure you, Raphael didn't impregnate Mary, and I'm not saying that you're suggesting necessarily that he did, but only the bad side, the other side, stoop to a level where they're not supposed to be having children with humans, and they have, and they still do. Okay, but good question. There is levels in hell. I won't mention his name. The top one, or is he part of the demonic trinity? Well, Mr. Dark, I try. Number one, I won't mention his name, but he would be considered the top of the other side, so to speak. He's the one right now that would be considered that has the most power, even though many other princes and principalities have power from the dark side over what happens down below. Okay, he would be the chieftain, so to speak. Okay, that being said, keep in mind that at the end of the day, God's calling the shots, and whatever happens is only because God is allowing it to happen, in the sense that he's given us all free will, and the devil gets away with what he gets away with because humanity goes along with his nonsense, with his game. Okay, but at the end of the day, the only true, real God, the one who's calling all the shots, is God Almighty himself. Normand, quelle est la raison d'être des démons? Ben, Normand, j'avais déjà dit, mais je vais le dire en français. Je viens juste de le dire, je vais le répéter. C'est que les démons sont là pour nous enlever du monde qui s'en vient. Les démons sont là pour nous causer à pécher. Okay, pour nous envoyer à l'enfer. Parce qu'il y a, quand le corps est mort, l'âme doit aller quelque part. Ou on va dans le ciel avec Dieu, on va vers la lumière de Dieu, ou on va à l'autre côté. C'est ça leur raison d'être. On a un choix libre. Leur but, c'est d'essayer de nous convaincre à pécher. Puis c'est à nous de choisir si on écoute le bon ou si on écoute le mauvais. Allô, Jared. Merci encore pour ma fille. Lara, ça fait un grand plaisir. Tant que ta fille va mieux, ça me donne du plaisir. Quand j'ai eu ton message, ça m'a donné beaucoup, beaucoup de plaisir en sachant que ça va très bien avec ta fille. Puis j'ai eu une chance de l'aider. C'est pour ça que je fais ce que je fais. Ça fait plaisir, mon ami. J'ai une question. Plusieurs personnes parlent d'une mort imminente et disent voir un tunnel et des anges avant la mort. Ouais, ben, je le crois. Je le crois. Il y a des milliers puis des milliers de personnes qui ont dit que, il était sur le point d'être mort, leur âme est partie du corps, puis ils ont vu un tunnel, puis ils ont vu la lumière. Il y a plusieurs qui ont dit qu'ils ont vu des anges, ils ont vu beaucoup, beaucoup, beaucoup de lumière, une lumière tellement brillante. Il y a d'autres qui ont dit qu'ils rencontraient Jésus. Je crois ça 100%. Une chose que je peux te dire, que je peux dire à tout le monde, c'est quand c'est le temps pour l'âme de retourner au Père, de retourner à Dieu, parce que notre maison est dans le ciel avec Dieu. C'est lui qui nous a envoyés ici pour avoir des expériences, puis apporter ça avec nous en haut. Dès qu'on est en train de retourner, on va voir la lumière. On va voir des anges. Et dès qu'on est dans le ciel, in heaven, on va voir des membres de famille qui sont passés avant nous. Alors, je crois à 100% ça. J'ai jamais eu une expérience de même dans le sens que j'étais jamais mort dans le sens que j'allais dans le ciel, puis que j'ai retourné. Mais dans mon travail, j'étais capable de monter dans le ciel, puis je peux te dire que tu vois beaucoup des anges, tu vois Jésus, puis tu vois beaucoup, beaucoup, beaucoup de lumière. Puis je doute pas ce que le monde en dit, parce que j'ai vu quelque chose de similaire sans avoir leur expérience exacte. Très, très bonne question. Est-ce que seuls les démons peuvent posséder les terrestres? Mais c'est une très bonne question. Des démons ou des fois des très, 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 très puissants mauvais esprits, mais 99,99% du temps, ce sont les démons. Il n'y a rien qui est bon. Rien qui est bon, puis c'est une très bonne question. Alors, s'il vous plaît, tout le monde, écoute-moi bien là. Ceux qui parlent en langue, ce ne sont pas des démons, ce n'est pas normal. Il n'y a aucun ange qui va posséder un corps. Il n'y a aucun esprit saint qui va posséder un corps. Ils comprennent qu'ils sont dans leur monde spirituel. Ils n'ont pas de droit. Ils ne sont pas supposés de posséder un corps. Le corps nous appartient. Et oui, je sais que j'ai déjà parlé que quand je fais un exorcisme, Jésus lui-même utilise mon corps. Mais qu'est-ce que ça veut dire? En premier, il ne reste pas là. C'est pendant l'exorcisme. Et c'est plus qu'il me nourrit avec son énergie. Il ne prend pas contrôle de mon corps pantoute. C'est moi qui ai contrôle au complet. Il ne possède pas mon corps. Il me nourrit avec son énergie du ciel pour faire mon travail. Puis c'est son énergie à lui que j'utilise pour tuer les démons. Alors, il n'y a rien dans du bon côté, qui va posséder un corps. Puis je sais, il y a des médiums ou des clairvoyants, des chamans qui disent qu'il y a des saints ou des esprits saints ou des anges qui utilisent leur corps pour faire le travail, puis qui possèdent leur corps. Non, 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 non et non. Merci pour la question. Ready to go. Oh, I know that channel, Ready to Go. It's an amazing channel on YouTube. You guys should all check it out, by the way, about vacations, what to do, where to go, how to plan. It's really awesome. Everyone should check it out. It's called Ready to Go. Is there anything concrete that we need to do via our relationship with our guardian angel, or do we just live our lives and they sort of work for us in the background? Great question. First of all, they don't work for us. They work for God. Okay? They do God's bidding. Anything they do is with God's permission and because God told them to do so. So they don't work for us. Okay. And in fact, one of the problems with the bad angels that fell, okay, with the devil and others, were that they felt that God never should have created humans because we sin and we're imperfect. Okay. And that there was no need for us. So believe me, there's a lot of angels that don't want to work for us. Okay. And a lot of those fell with the devil. Okay. So they don't work for us, but you need to concentrate on your life. Focus on God and only God, and let the angels do their work. When they're told to step in, when God says they need to step in, they will. Okay. Focus only on God. There's nothing that we're supposed to do, because again, how do you develop a relationship with your guardian angel? The only way is the same way I tell people, how do you develop a relationship with God? You talk to God in your prayers, okay? Problem is, with a guardian angel or an entity, they may talk back. You don't know who you're dealing with, and this is a problem. So let the good angels that God put on our path when they need to be in our path, which is rare, let them do what they have to do and focus on God. That's an excellent question. Thank you. My dear friend Christina, what do demons look like in spiritual form? Also, hi, my friend. Great content. Thank you. Appreciate it. Grazie. Grazie mille. What do demons look like in spiritual form? They look like many things. Very often they appear as shadows. Very often they appear as like gnomes or troll-like. Sometimes they appear what people think aliens from other planets might look like. Almost like that creature from the movie Lord of the Rings, a golem. Okay? Sometimes they may look like that. There's certain ones that kind of look like little trolls that we call, actually, it's funny, I just mentioned golem. They're called golamim in Hebrew. Okay? Little soulless, clay-like, troll-like creatures. So demons, but again, they shapeshift. Demons can appear as little children. Demons can appear almost looking like an angel. Okay? And because there's so many different variety of demons, it's really hard to say. But like I said, generally, how humans will view demons when we do see them would be shadowy creatures, cloaked, black hat style, kind of black hood, so to speak, shadowy, tall, but they can appear as many different things. Like I said, there are demons who look very good. That you would look at them and say, "Oh, they must be wonderful creatures, very good." Just like there are some angels that are holy and do God's work and are on the good side, but to the eye look, some of the cherubim, for example, and from the Chayot, I mean, some of them can have thousands of eyes. Okay, so if you were to see that in a movie, you'd be like, "Whoa, that's hideous." Okay, but because our perception and our level of understanding don't realize how incredibly beautiful they actually are, we don't have an appreciation or an understanding of such holy beings, and this is where the problem comes in, right? Are demons only spiritual entities, or can they be spirits of dead people also? Est-ce que les démons sont... Well, as I was saying, okay, the Kabbalah, and I know even Jesus, who actually studied Kabbalah, by the way, I mean, he was a rabbi, so there's no surprise, and he was no dummy, as we know. Often demons are sometimes referred to as unclean spirits, evil spirits. Okay, so it's usually demons, okay, and not dead people, in the sense that dead people generally, yes, if they're bad, they go to hell. Okay, but again, there are some extremely evil spirits, but it's rare. Most of the work that's done are on the bad side are done from demons. And yes, I know that sometimes they can refer to as unclean spirits, but we're still talking about demons here. The demon being the overall term encompassing the evil, even though they're called unclean spirits and evil spirits. Yes, but demon would be the term. Quand mort, est-ce que nous devenons des anges? Non, Nicole. Bonne question. En premier, il y a juste 2 personnes dans l'histoire de l'humanité, au moins dans notre dimension sur notre Terre, dans les derniers 6000 ans, ou même avant ça sur la Terre, okay, avant Adam et Ève, parce qu'il y avait des humains avant Adam et Ève. Il y a juste 2 qui sont devenus des anges. Mais on parle de 2 personnes tellement saintes. Même Moïse et Abraham ne sont pas devenus des anges. Okay? Et un, j'avais parlé justement avant. Un était Enoch, qui était un des descendants de Adam. Okay? Qui est devenu Métatron. Puis l'autre est devenu Sandalphon. OK? Elijah. OK? Ce sont les deux seuls qui sont devenus des anges de tous les humains qui sont existés depuis le début du temps. Alors, bonne question, mais non. Et en plus, il y a beaucoup de monde qui ne vont même pas avoir une place dans le monde qui s'en vient. Oublie ça, devenir des anges. Hello, Jared. I'm new here. Hi, Tristan. I was wondering, why is there 7 princes of hell? Okay, well, first of all, depending on what he's asking me, and again, I won't mention their names, the one that starts with an L and S, he was a fallen angel. And whether or not there are 7 princes, Kabbalah tells a different tale. Okay. There are not necessarily 7 princes, so to speak, of hell, or what we call in Hebrew Gehinnom, which is in the Torah and in the Kabbalistic writings. Okay. But he was absolutely, and he's referred to by many different names, but he was a fallen angel. Okay. Hell is a very bad place. And his job was just to accuse those up above. And he, more than anyone else, kept telling God, why do you need humans? All they do is sin. They're no good. Why did you create them? And God told him, and this is straight out of the Kabbalistic writings, God told him, you would do even worse than they are. You would sin worse. And he rebelled against God, and he sinned, and now we have the devil of who the devil is. We know who he is. He sinned worse than any other being in any universe, any human, any spiritual being, any physical being. He sinned more than anyone else. So of course he's a fallen angel. He was an angel of light, and he rebelled against God. He thought that he could do better down here than humans did. And look how corrupt he got. Okay? Thank you for the question. Good evening, brother. Hello, brother Jeff Benoit. While demons seem to be let loose, white angels are the ones that I find are the ones in bondage. When will good start to shine in people's hearts? The world needs more of God. That's a great question, Jeff. Thank you. It's not that the angels, the so-called good angels, are in bondage. I mean, they are in a sense. They're held back because humans hold them back. We've given power to the devil and his children and the demons. As I said, there's a constant battle for our soul. I know we spoke about it on your guys. By the way, anyone who's never seen any of Jeff Benoit live stuff, he does fantastic. It's mainly in French, some in English. He does some fantastic podcasts, some fantastic work in the paranormal and spiritual stuff. It's great stuff. So guys, check him out, please, on this channel, Jeff Benoit Live. They're constantly whispering in our ear, Jeff. Both sides. When we do good, we're giving power to the good. When we do bad, we're giving power to the demons. They run amok. And it doesn't take a genius. And I know you're a very smart man. We've talked about this. We look around the world, and the world is in the state it is because most people are not listening to the angels. They're listening to the demons. Okay? And unfortunately, God created things in such a way that because we have free choice, we determine what happens down here. Okay, our actions determine whether it's the demons running amok as they are now, the gates to hell are open, so to speak, and they have been for a while, or the angels run amok and good things happen. So unfortunately, your question is right. You said, when will good start to shine in people's hearts? And it's not enough just for good to shine in people's hearts, Jeff, as you know. We both said many, many, many times the road to hell was paved with good intentions. Like the New Age movement, I think most people that play around in the New Age movement have good intentions. Okay? Most of them end up getting possessed. That's what good intentions got them. right? We saw over the last 3 years. Let's save grandma. They did all kinds of terrible things to us in the name of good intentions, okay? So being good is not enough. Doing good, fearing God, loving God, worshiping God, praying to God and only God, and doing good deeds on a daily basis will turn things around. Because the more that happens, the more we're removing power from evil. It's really that simple for everyone listening to this, watching this. Faith in God, prayer to God, God the Father, the Almighty Creator of everything, the one and only, as we say in Hebrew. Okay? Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Our God is one. Okay? He's everything, the one and only. Faith and prayer to Him and Him alone. And taking that love and in His holy, glorious, and blessed name, spreading goodness and kindness and trying to help others go back to God. That, if even 25% of the world would do that, evil would lose so much power. It really would. I'm going to answer. I see there's a question from my dear friend Lori over there. I'm going to get to it in a second, Lori. I once had someone in the New Age movement tell me, I was maybe 3, 4, 5 years ago. I don't remember now. I don't generally pay attention to this nonsense, hocus pocus. But she said something. Yeah, she said, I once took part in this worldwide meditation. There was like 2 or 3 million of us at the same time online doing a meditation. We raised the vibration, Jared. We raised the vibration. My answer to her was this. Instead of 2 to 3 million people going, and praying to the universe, if those 2 to 3 million people would have prayed to God to come and save us and help us and get rid of evil, you want to talk about raising vibration? Can you imagine 2 to 3 million people praying to God Almighty Himself all at the same time with sincerity and love? Now we're talking. Lori, when a demon impregnates a woman, what happens to the children? They're half demon. Well, demons themselves can have kids, demon with demon. But that's what we had in the time, David and Goliath. Goliath was a giant. He was one of the offspring of these vermin. Okay? When a demon, and there are demon women, by the way, who bear children after sleeping with human men. Okay? The child is half demon. And that's a problem. It's a big problem. It's a big problem for an exorcist. Peter was on here before. As I said, we did a live together. He's going to be here tomorrow night to help me with an exorcism. He can vouch for it. We've seen half demon children. We've encountered them. And it's a problem because not much I can do to help them. We have to hope that the good kind of kicks in more than the bad, and they beg God. And they want to go to God. Because I can destroy demons in spiritual form. I can't in physical form without destroying the body. And you can't do that. You go to jail, right? So it's a problem. That's an excellent question. Ready to go. I'm telling you, if I had the money and the time, man, I'd be ready to go. Let me tell you, right to the beach with some sunshine, nice maybe Cuban cigar, a little scotch. Given the current state of the world, is there an active ongoing battle between angels and demons? It's not only the current state of the world, that battle's been going on since the beginning of time. Since Adam and Eve sinned, and they didn't listen to God, when they said, do not eat of the tree of knowledge, do not eat the fruit of the tree of knowledge. They were allowed to eat fruit from the tree of life, by the way, not the tree of knowledge. And had they listened, they were going to be allowed to eat of the tree of knowledge. Okay? When Adam and Eve sinned, Eve first and then Adam, this battle began. Actually, the battle was even before, because the devil took the form of a serpent to convince. So from the minute Adam and Eve were created, this battle started, and it's been raging. behind the scenes, and now in our faces since day one. Okay? It has. And if anyone's ever seen the movie Constantine, I think it's great. I mean, I happen to be a fan of Keanu Reeves as an actor. Never met him personally. Apparently, he's a great guy. But I love the movie because one of the things that it shows is that battle behind the scenes that the average human doesn't see. Okay? There is a battle going on constantly for our soul. Every second of every day. Nonstop. Okay? There's a battle. The same way even up in heaven, in the heavenly courts, you still have those angels that are trying to accuse humans. But you have the good angels that defend them in the heavenly courts. So that battle, but especially now, the battle is escalating as we get closer to Armageddon, as we get closer to the end of days, so to speak. As we get closer to the coming of Mashiach, the Messiah, that battle is intensifying and escalating. And I know that's what you meant when you said in the current situation of the world. Absolutely. And sadly, right now, evil's had the upper hand for a long time. They're pulling out all the tricks and all the stops, so to speak. And it's only going to get worse. So we better be ready. My last question, Simon, is this the plan of God to get rid of all demons at some point? Yes, sir, Simon. That's the point of Mashiach, the Messiah, my friend. The Messiah will come. There will be a final battle. Unfortunately, there's going to be a lot of destruction before and during. When the Messiah comes, when Mashiach comes, all evil will be destroyed. Demons, evil, unclean spirits. The other side, Sitra Hara, the evil side itself will be obliterated at some point. So yes, that is God's plan. And that's why I said before, the devil knows he's already losing this battle. It's been written. He knows his fate. He knows what awaits him. That is God's plan. Now, how many of us are going to be there in the end to have a spot in the world to come? That's for another conversation, my friend. Next question. I see that there's a whole bunch of questions. Okay. Have you had to extract any of the legionnaires of the devil during an exorcism? Well, if you mean legionnaires, or you're talking about the fallen ones, those who fell with him, I have. And I don't extract, I kill. And in the flood of Noah, when the watchers were here, and they chose to lay with human women, okay, and they started sinning, when they got corrupted by the physicality of the world, okay, that's what the flood of Noah was, to destroy all the damage that they had done. They had so corrupted the world that God had to flood it and destroy it. But Kabbalah teaches, and I know this for a fact because I've killed a few of them in the last year. Peter was with me. He can vouch for this. It says that their physical bodies, because when they fell from the spiritual, they became physical. In the flood of Noah, their spiritual bodies were destroyed, not the spiritual. Okay, and I actually, on my YouTube, one of the first videos that are there, there's a couple of exorcisms I did that were some of those watchers at the beginning, and some of those who fell with the devil in the second falling, as there were two fallings. The watchers were the first, and the second was with the devil himself. Okay, thanks for the question. Est-ce qu'un individu qui est issu de l'union de démons et d'un humain, c'est-il qui a mis démons? Ah, très bonne question, Daniel. Celui-là, j'aime très bien. Et donc, est-ce qu'il y a des démons, surtout de nous, qui ne savent pas qu'ils sont des démons? Très bonne question. Je dirais non. Même quand Pierre était là avec moi, on était à une maison avec des enfants à moitié démons. Ben, moi, j'étais dans une autre maison avec 3 enfants, moitié démons. Même s'ils sont des jeunes enfants, je pense qu'un avait peut-être 7 ans, puis l'autre 8, puis dans l'autre famille, la plus jeune avait peut-être 5. Ils le sachent. ils le sachent. Est-ce que c'est possible qu'il y a des jeunes enfants qui ne sachent pas? Peut-être. J'en ai pas rencontré. Mais certainement, dès qu'ils sont à un certain âge, 8, 9, 10, impossible à ce point-là qu'ils ne sachent pas, même s'ils sont moitié. Alors, je dirais que tous ceux qui sont même juste moitié démons, ils sachent très bien, spécialement s'ils sont plus âgés que 6, 7, 8 ans. Ça, c'est sûr, mais c'est une très bonne question. Guys, I'm going to take another couple questions and then that's it. Nasi Rabash, I hope I pronounced that right. I'm sorry if I didn't. Nasser Bash, I hope that's right. If I'm not mistaken, that is Rabbi Schneerson on the right. It is, but you're not mistaken. He never claimed he was the Messiah. And that has nothing to do with angels and demons, so I won't speak further about that. It is Rabbi Schneerson, but he never claimed that he was the Messiah. That is false. There are certain of those who followed him who claimed that he could be. He himself never made that claim openly, ever. And I followed him. I used to have a black hat and a beard, and I was part of that religious, ultra-Orthodox sect of Chabad Judaism. He never claimed that. But by the way, the Torah is very, very clear. The Old Testament is very clear, as are the Kabbalistic writings, that in every generation there is a potential Mashiach or potential Messiah. So I'm only answering that even though it has nothing to do with angels and demons, because what you said was not correct and I had to correct that. Thank you. Any other last questions about angels and demons? If not, and I'm sorry, I see there's a lot of stuff in the chat. It's impossible to answer everybody. Okay, so I'm sorry if I can't answer everybody right now. Here's one more question from Ready to Go. Catholic and Protestant churches deny the existence of Lilith as Adam's first wife. Is her existence mentioned or proven other than that first statement in the Bible? Well, first of all, Peter and I can tell you that we've met some of her children. Lilith existed, and there were humans before Adam and Eve that didn't have the holy soul, because there are different levels of soul, by the way, to get Kabbalistic on you. Okay, there are different levels of soul. They didn't have the highest level that we have now. Okay, so they were more caveman-like, so to speak, if we can put it that way. Eve was his first wife, but Lilith, at one point, Adam and Eve, after the sin, spent some time apart. And they both were visited, unfortunately, from the other side due to the sin. And they both gave in. So he was never married to Lilith, but they did have children. And this was after he was first married to Eve. He ended up going back with Eve later on. Okay. But she was very, very, very real. She wasn't his first wife. She wasn't his wife at all, in fact, but they did have children together when him and Eve took some time apart. I'm simplifying it for you. But that's an excellent question. And just because I don't like to use the term hate. I don't like when people make comments that are false. And no, Nasi Rabba, okay, he didn't claim that he runs the world. I don't know where you're getting this nonsense from, but please stop spewing stupidity like that. I'm sorry, but if you're going to say something, make sure you know what you're talking about. Okay. Do I have a personal angel, Jared? Well, again, that's a good question, Paisan. I have a guardian angel. I mentioned before, it's Michael. He's not my personal angel. He's not my butler. He doesn't work for me. He works for God. But there are several other angels that I deal with on a daily basis. Okay, several. But he would be the angel that I do deal with the most. So he would be, if you want to call it, my guardian angel, so to speak. Okay. And there's another question. There's another comment there from someone called, I think it says Rafa. J'ai hâte que ça finisse. I'm not sure if you're talking about my live. Si t'as hâte que mon live finisse.
No, I was talking about this.
Ou si tu parles de la situation entre le bon et le mauvais. Si tu parles du bon ou le mauvais, moi aussi j'ai hâte que ça finisse. J'espère que tu parles pas de mon live. Awesome, Simon. Thank you very much. Kellyanne says, I'm not like you in that capacity. Hopefully you'll get in touch and then you'll see. Well, I'm not sure what we would have to get in touch with, Kellyanne. I appreciate you being here and being part of this live. You could always, go to my website if you feel there's services of mine that you may need. And nobody's like me, the same way no one's like you. We're all unique. That's for sure. But to do any type of spiritual work for God on the good side, there are certain qualifications, and I spoke about that, and I'll just repeat it. I spoke about that in my live last week where I talked about the New Age. You cannot do any work for the good side, none at all, spiritually speaking, unless you have an extreme faith in God, love for God, and devotion to God himself. And unless you have a massive background, I'm not just saying, picking up a 10-page book and reading it, a massive background in Old Testament, okay, specifically in Hebrew and in Kabbalistic works. The Old Testament is very, very clear. The prophecies were clear. There was a reason there was only a handful of prophets that were given over to speak on God's behalf. And it was specifically for that reason. And even within them, there were certain prophets that were considered higher than others because of their faith, devotion, and study of Torah, of Old Testament. Okay, and esoteric Kabbalistic teachings and writings. Okay, so if you haven't seen, for anyone here who doesn't get that, if you haven't seen my live last week about the New Age movement and why it's not from God, please feel free to do so. And of course, everyone's allowed an opinion. I don't expect everyone to agree with what I'm saying. When I speak based on my work. I'm 49. I'm born with what I have. I've been doing this for quite a while. Just in exorcisms and removing attachments and haunted homes, I've killed tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of demons. Okay. I have a background I used to be an ultra-Orthodox Jew. I have a background in Torah, Old Testament. I study Kabbalah. And my faith and devotion and love for God is extreme. Most humans cannot utter those words that I just uttered. In fact, 99.99999999999% of them cannot. Okay? So thank you for everyone being here. I appreciate it. Okay? And I hope some of you learned something. If you like it, please feel free to share it. And if you don't, that's also okay. Again, I don't expect everyone to agree with everything I say. Everyone has an opinion. And that's okay. It makes the world interesting when people have differing opinions. So once again, merci à tout le monde pour être là avec moi. Si vous avez aimé mon vidéo, s'il vous plaît, soyez pas gênés de le partager. Likez, mettez un commentaire. Que Dieu vous bénisse. Thank you very much. God bless you all. Thank you all for being here and taking part. And I hope this was interesting for you. I hope maybe you learned something, or at least maybe will make you think. And that's the purpose of it. All the best. God bless. Que Dieu vous bénisse.